Good morning, everyone. Welcome to River City Plus, the show after the show. And today I have Regina and Wendy here to continue our conversation on ataxia. Now, I know we have a big 5K coming up to increase awareness, to increase information and resources just to help gain traction around the conversation of ataxia. But Regina, first of all, before we dive into our conversation about caregivers, can you give us just a snapshot for people who aren't familiar with this condition?
Yeah, so ataxia is a rare brain disease that can cause speech delays and coordination is something that is very common. They lose coordination and kind of stumble. Um,
Swallowing issues. There's multifacets, and there are several different types. So depending on what genotype, the symptoms can range differently. But slurred speech, swallowing problems, gait, breathing. So they're multifaceted.
And so obviously all of these things add to true challenges for whoever that patient is. And obviously those challenges add to the plate of a caregiver. And both of you have served as longtime caregivers. So, you know, preparing for this 5K and knowing that there are so many other people out there in your position, in your shoes, who are also having to hold jobs, take care of the rest of their families, attempt to fill up your own cup in some way without negating that feeling of guilt that I know that you mentioned in our last conversation, Regina. So today I'd love to understand what advice you can give caregivers, especially with people who are working through and dealing with ataxia.
um, Basically, at the end of the day, we're human, right? We only have but so much energy. And it's okay to have time for yourself and not to feel guilty about having time for yourself because you can't really truly give your best self to whoever you're
Right.
caring for, such as patience and understanding and all the things that they need. You can't really give them that when you don't have the energy for it. So at times you will have moments where you'll feel bad, like at least I do at moments where I feel like I'm not as patient as I can be, and I realize it's because I haven't taken the time off that I need to
Right.
be fully aware of, filling that person up
Right.
at the same time. So I think realizing that you need time for self, and that's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay to have time for self, and your loved one will understand that. They
Right.
will
Of course.
understand that you are also giving all the time. Like me and my mom had a conversation this morning, and she was speaking to me about something, and you could tell she was flustered. And when I came out and I was giving her breakfast, she was like, "I'm sorry. I know you were getting the front end of my frustrations and everything." And I was like, "It's okay, mom. I
Right.
understand." So it's a give and take. They will understand, and you need time for yourself
Yeah.
too.
I mean, and I think that's really with any of our loved ones. Like sometimes we do tend to let the people who we know love us most
Right.
get that frustration and fluster. But like you said, being able to regulate that conversation, and good for her for being able to be like, "I'm bad, I'm bad,
Yes.
sorry." Like there's a big part of that, just like recognizing like, "Sorry, I was having a moment. Thank
Yeah.
you for walking through that with me." Now, Wendy, you shared with me that you've been in a caregiver position for over 25 years.
Yes.
So that's a long time
It is
to
a
be
long.
able to sustain a level of care and also just a level of sanity for yourself.
It is. Yeah, my husband first was diagnosed prior to us knowing that we had children. So our oldest son does have this. Now my husband has since passed. So I was caregiver for two of them at one time. I work full. I work full time, and so my hands were full. And I knew I needed that self care, like Regina mentioned. Um, but other family members, people who aren't living, let's say, in my shoes, don't necessarily always understand. If you don't wear the shoes, you don't know
Of course.
how they fit. So I would take little breaks, and I would go on like a long weekend trip and take care of myself and not have to take care of someone else. So today it's my son and I. He's not as bad off as others that I've seen, but he does ride a scooter. So then that's even more, because then it becomes physical. They tend to have falls, many falls, and so helping them up from the falls and the destruction to the home, respectfully. It's not, it's not doing it on purpose,
Right.
but I did injure my back trying to load and unload his mobile devices. So it has its challenges, and I get tired, and sometimes I'm short with him, like Regina said, but it kind of goes back and forth, and we just kind of understand that that's the role.
Right. And so something you mentioned was resources that are available that maybe
Yes.
weren't available when you both started your journey. What do those look like specifically?
Well, I can speak to that. There is the National Ataxia Foundation, which their website is fabulous. Anything you need to know or you need to be directed, you can go to their website. If you don't see it on their website, just pick up and call them. Or we do have a local support group, the Greater Jacks Ataxia Support Group. We do have an email. If those people are out there, they want to contact us. That information is on the National Ataxia Foundation website, and we have meetings every other month. So we're trying to help those who maybe aren't as skilled, or not, I don't mean skilled, as versed and don't have the years of experience. And then the other thing that we attended this year that I found very helpful was the annual Ataxia Conference. There were over 500 people, many Ataxians, and what my son said is he felt at home with his people because everybody just understands and nobody has to explain themselves.
Right.
So there are so many different groups. There are support groups for parents. There's support groups for caregivers. There's support groups for families. And then there's age specific. Those over 55. My son is now part of a group. It's a 30 and under group. And they meet every 2 weeks via Zoom call. So
I love that.
yeah, the resources are there. And I think that's been one of the biggest helps for me.
Yeah. And I think that's huge. I mean, Regina, I know you yourself have become a huge resource here. And then I know for just being that voice box, that sounding board for people, because I would imagine that this, both for the patient and the caregiver, can be very isolating when you are surrounded by people who maybe don't quite understand. You're dealing with challenges, like you said, like mobile devices, like you're dealing with mobility challenges. You're dealing with things that not everyone comes across in their everyday lives. And so sometimes you just want to be able to exist in a space without explanation. So Regina, can you speak to that and just maybe how we can be maybe more understanding, more connected community there?
So I think that, one, if you guys go out to the ataxia.org website and get familiarized with it, and just to read up on what's going on with it, because people will tend to kind of look at individuals with ataxia and they're trying to figure out what's going on. They can't really. Sometimes I've heard people explain it like it looks like they're drunk or something, and that's really not the case. Right. It's just a part of the condition that they have. So to be a lot more loving and kind to individuals. We don't know what people are going through, what's happening behind closed doors. It's just, it's something people say all the time. Just treat others how you want to be treated. Nobody wants to be treated crappy, so let's not do that.
Yeah. I mean, like, go through it with grace. Like, give
Right.
people grace. Like you said, you don't know. Also, you don't always need to know. Like, sometimes it's okay just, like, to be like, they're going through that. Great. Like, what do you need from me?
Absolutely.
Do you need me to open that door? Do you need me to help you? Do you need me to help you load in? Like, what can I do? But I do think that you ladies bring up a good point that, you know, there are physical, challenging and taxing moments of that. So when you cross those bridges, you know, how do you navigate that as a caregiver? Or if somebody does approach like your mother or your son or something like that sideways, like, I mean, I'd want to like throw hands. I'd be like, did I ask? Beat it. Like, you know, so I mean, like, how do you remain graceful in those moments?
I'm not going to say I remain graceful all the time, right? We have
Why
those
should you?
we have those slip ups. And I can't say that honestly that I've had a moment where it's been where me and my mom. Anytime somebody sees me and my mom out, I must say it seems like there are some good humans out there. They
Okay.
are willing. There's people who are willing to help you. I think it more so comes to when I'm by myself and I'm totally exhausted and people don't understand I'm exhausted at this moment. That's when things can kind of get a little sideways. And then of course my patience is a little short, so it turns into a conversation that really doesn't need to be had.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it just comes back to being kind to each other at
Right.
all times, because you may not be able to see, and I may not look like I got a lot going on, and you might just be having a bad day too. So let's
Right.
both give each other
Right.
grace, because I don't know what you got going on.
Right.
You don't know what I got going on. Let's just love one another at the end of the day.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Just, meet that person with grace and understanding. And we would love for you to meet all of these people at the 5K. So
Absolutely.
can you give us just a shameless drop and a great invitation for people to come out, learn more, be connected, be re-energized, be around people who understand and support.
So October 5th, this upcoming Saturday, we'll be out at the Y. The run begins at 8, but we'll be there as early as 7 o'clock. After the run, I'm expecting that it will last roughly about an hour for everybody to be able to complete 3 miles. You don't have to run. You can walk. You can stroll. You can do whatever you like to do. Okay. At the end, we do have a neurologist that's going to be out there who's going to be educating the community, explaining like things that they can look out for. Maybe they can see some things happening with their family member and they have not gotten anything diagnosed. Maybe this might be what it is, and you need to come out here and hear what the doctor has to say about that. And then Wendy and Becky and other members of our group, the Jacksonville support group, will be out there. So we will be there to encourage others and make sure that they have connections that they need with the community. And we have somebody who's going to be out there talking about self-care, giving education around that. And we just look forward to everybody who's going to be able to come out there. And if you haven't registered, go ahead and register. And right now we're doing a 20% off as well with the coupon code ATAXIA, ATAXIA.
Fantastic. Well, ladies, thank you so much again for joining us here on River City Plus, being so vulnerable and open with your stories. And again, like Regina said, go out, meet with grace, okay, and we'll all get through this together. Thank you guys so much for joining us for River City Plus. They'll see you Saturday morning, and we'll see you tomorrow morning right here on River City Live.